Okay, Alex? I want you to think about one of the most universally awkward, heart-pounding professional experiences. A moment where you are sitting across from your boss. Your palms are sweating, and you are about to deliver news that will completely change your daily life.
Oh, wow. That is a very dramatic way to start the podcast. But I know exactly what you're talking about. It is resigning from a job.
Resigning from a job? Yes. Specifically, the process of giving your notice and navigating the awkward goodbye.
Oh, that is a special kind of nightmare. On a scale of 1 to 10, my anxiety when I have to quit a job is easily a 9. Maybe a 10 if I have to do it in a second language, with a boss I actually like, while trying not to sound ungrateful or disloyal.
A 10? That is incredibly high. You are an intelligent, capable adult. You manage complex software projects. But a simple resignation letter makes you want to just stay at the same job forever?
It is not just the letter, Sophia. It is the entire ecosystem of leaving a company. In my native language, I know the cultural rules. I know how to be polite, how to express gratitude, and how to leave on good terms. But in English, the corporate vocabulary is full of idioms and phrases that make me feel like I'm committing a crime.
I completely understand that. Quitting a job is stressful even for native speakers. There is the fear of burning bridges, the awkwardness of the exit interview, and the pressure of the handover process.
Exactly. And there is this unspoken guilt. You feel like you are betraying your team. You think? They trained me. They were nice to me. And now I am leaving them to do all my work.
That is a very common feeling. But let's back up a little bit. You mentioned giving your notice. Tell me about your first time resigning from a job in an English speaking environment, because I can hear the trauma in your voice.
I was hoping we would skip this part, but I know the rules of this podcast. Okay. Fine. It was about 3 years ago. I had been working at a mid-sized tech company for 2 years. I got a fantastic offer from another company. Better pay, better role, everything. But I really liked my manager, David. He was a great guy.
Okay. Setting the scene. You are excited about the new job, but you are dreading the conversation with David?
Exactly. I practiced my speech in the mirror for 3 days. Dear David, I am writing to formally resign. No, too formal. Hi David, I am leaving. No, too blunt. I finally decided to just be honest and professional. I scheduled a one-on-one meeting with him.
The classic "do you have a minute to chat?" meeting. The most terrifying 4 words in the corporate world.
Yes, I sat down in his office. He smiled and said, "Hey Alex, what's on your mind?" And my brain just circuited. I had practiced this so many times, but in that moment, I forgot every professional word I knew. I looked him in the eye, and I said, very seriously, "Hello, David. I am giving you my 2 weeks of warning."
2 weeks of warning.
Yes,
Alex? No.
I said it, with total, sincere professionalism. I am giving you my 2 weeks of warning. Please prepare yourself.
I am losing my mind. I am actually crying. What did David's face do?
He stopped typing. He slowly took his hands off the keyboard. He looked at me with a mixture of deep concern and mild panic. And he said, very slowly, "Warning? Alex, is everything okay? Are you in trouble?"
Wiping away tears. Oh, Alex. That is incredible.
I was so confused. I said, "No, I am not in trouble. I am just warning you that I will not be here in 14 days. I am resigning." David just blinked, let out a long breath, and said, "Oh, you mean you're giving your 2 weeks' notice?"
I cannot breathe. 2 weeks of warning sounds like you are a superhero telling the city that a villain is approaching.
I wanted the office chair to swallow me whole. I just nodded, my face burning red, and said, "Ah, yes. Notice. That is the word. 2 weeks' notice."
Okay. First of all, that is a hilarious story. Second of all, I promise you, David probably forgot about the word warning 5 minutes later and was just relieved you weren't actually in danger.
Logically, I know that. But in the moment, you feel so foolish. You are an adult, but you feel like a child who does not know the basic rules of corporate goodbyes.
I hear you. It is that gap between your actual intelligence and your ability to access the right professional vocabulary when you are under emotional stress. But let's look at what actually happened. You told him you were leaving. He understood, and you moved on. That is a huge win. Even if the phrasing was a bit dramatic.
I suppose so. But it made me realize how much specific vocabulary is tied to leaving a job.
That is so true. And it highlights a really important point for our listeners. When we are put on the spot in a second language, especially in a high-stakes environment, like a resignation meeting, our brains default to literal translations. We panic, and we grab the first words we know.
Exactly. So, please, Sophia, give me the toolkit. How do I resign from a job without sounding like I am issuing a severe weather alert?
Okay. Let's demystify this. The most common B1, B2 resignation phrases are actually quite logical once you know the context. Let's start with the one that caused the trauma, 2 weeks notice.
It means you are informing your employer that you will leave the company in 2 weeks. Got it. No actual warnings or sirens required.
Exactly. It is a standard professional courtesy. You can say, I am putting in my 2 weeks notice. Or I am giving my 2 weeks notice. Now, what about the document you give them?
The resignation letter. I know this one. But I always worry it sounds too formal. I sometimes say, I am writing to say I quit, which sounds a bit like a toddler throwing a tantrum.
Laughs. I quit is definitely for dramatic movie scenes, not professional emails. The natural phrase is a letter of resignation or simply my resignation. Please accept this letter as formal notification that I am resigning from my position.
Formal notification. That sounds very professional. What about when they ask why you're leaving?
Ah, the reason for leaving question. The key here is to stay positive and focus on the future, not the past. You do not want to complain about your current job.
So I should not say, I am leaving because the coffee is terrible and the meetings are too long.
Laughs no, even if it is true. The professional way to say it is, I've been offered a new opportunity that aligns with my long-term career goals. Or, I am looking to take on new challenges.
Aligns with my long-term career goals. I like that. It sounds very strategic and mature. What about when they try to make you stay?
Ah. The counteroffer. That is when the company offers you more money or a better title to convince you not to leave.
Yes, I had a manager do that once. He said, "We can make a counteroffer." And my brain thought, counter, offer. Like in a game? Do I have to negotiate against him? I said, "No, thank you. I do not want to play games. I just want to leave."
I am losing my mind. You thought a counteroffer was a board game?
I did. I thought it was a competitive thing. But now I know it just means they are offering me a better deal to stay.
Exactly. And if you want to decline it politely, you can say, I really appreciate the counteroffer, but my decision is final. I'm excited about this new chapter.
My decision is final. That is a great, firm, but polite phrase. It leaves no room for argument. But it is not rude.
Yes. Now, let's talk about the most dreaded part of leaving a job, the exit interview.
Oh, the exit interview. The ultimate corporate trap.
It can feel that way. The idea is that HR wants to get your constructive feedback to improve the company. But it often feels like they are just checking a box.
Yes, and that brings me to another terrible story from that same resignation.
Oh no! I can feel it coming. Tell me?
So, after I gave David my 2 weeks' notice, HR scheduled an exit interview with me. The HR manager, a very serious woman named Linda, sat me down in a small conference room. She had a notepad and a very serious expression.
The classic HR interrogation setup.
Yes. She started with some standard questions. How was your experience here? What did you like about the culture? I answered politely. It was good. I learned a lot. Then, she leaned forward and said, "We always value constructive feedback from departing employees. Do you have any constructive feedback for us?"
Okay. Constructive feedback is a very standard HR phrase. It means feedback that is helpful and aimed at building or improving something.
I know that now, but in that moment, my brain circuited again. I knew the word constructive, and the only context I knew for constructive was related to building things, like construction workers or building a house.
Oh no! Alex, please tell me you did not talk about building materials.
I did. I wanted to be helpful. I wanted to give her the best constructive feedback I could think of. So, I looked her right in the eye, and I said, very seriously, "Yes, Linda, the construction on the 3rd floor is very loud. It is hard to concentrate. You should tell them to stop."
Bursts into laughter. I am losing my mind. I am actually crying. You gave HR feedback about the building renovation?
I did, with total, sincere helpfulness. The construction is very loud. It is not good for productivity.
What did Linda's face do?
She stopped writing. She stared at me. She looked at the ceiling. as if listening for imaginary drills. And she said, very slowly, Alex, I mean feedback about the management, the processes, the culture, not the actual building construction.
Wiping away tears. Oh, Alex. That is incredible.
I was so confused for a split second. And then the realization hit me like a truck. Constructive means helpful and positive, not literally related to construction work. I wanted the conference room table to open up and swallow me whole. I just mumbled, ah, yes. The culture. The culture is good. No notes.
I cannot breathe. No notes. You went from complaining about imaginary drills to giving the company a perfect score in 3 seconds.
I did. I spent the next 2 weeks of my notice period avoiding Linda in the hallways, convinced she thought I was an absolute idiot.
Okay. First of all, that is a hilarious story. Second of all, I promise you, Linda probably forgot about it by lunchtime. HR managers hear dozens of exit interviews. You're just a drop in the ocean of corporate weirdness.
Logically, I know that. But in the moment, you feel so foolish. You are an adult, but you feel like a child who does not understand the basic rules of professional feedback.
I hear you. It is that gap between your actual intelligence and your ability to decode specific corporate jargon when you are under pressure. But let's look at what actually happened. You survived the exit interview. You finished your 2 weeks, and you left the company. That is a huge win.
I suppose so. But it made me realize how much specific vocabulary is tied to leaving a job.
That is so true. And it highlights a really important point for our listeners. When we are put on the spot in a second language, especially in a formal environment like an HR meeting, our brains default to literal translations. We panic, and we grab the first definition of a word we know.
Exactly. So, please, Sophia, give me the toolkit. How do I give feedback in an exit interview without sounding like a building inspector?
Okay. Let's demystify this. The most common B1, B2 phrases for professional feedback are actually quite logical once you know the context. Let's start with the one that caused the trauma. Constructive feedback.
It means feedback that is helpful, specific, and aimed at improvement, not just complaining. Got it. No actual building work involved.
Exactly. If you want to give constructive feedback, you frame it as a suggestion for the future, not a complaint about the past. For example, instead of, "The meetings are too long," you can say, "I think the team could benefit from shorter, more focused meetings."
Could benefit from. That is so much softer and more professional. It sounds like a suggestion, not an attack.
Yes, another great phrase is, "One area for improvement might be," for example, "One area for improvement might be the onboarding process for new hires."
Onboarding process. I know this one. It means the training and integration of a new employee.
Exactly. And the opposite, when you're leaving, is the offboarding or handover process.
Ah, the handover. I always worry about this. I feel like I have to write a novel explaining every single thing I do. Or the company will collapse the day after I leave.
That is a very common feeling, but a handover or handover document is just a summary of your current projects, key contacts, and next steps. It does not need to be a novel.
So I can just say, I will prepare a handover document with all my current projects and key contacts before I leave.
Yes, that is perfect. It is clear, professional, and shows that you are responsible and care about the team's success after you are gone.
That makes me feel so much better. But what about the very last day? The farewell email.
Ah, the farewell email. The final act of the resignation drama.
Yes, I never know what to say. I do not want to be too emotional, but I also do not want to sound like a robot. I once wrote, "It was a good time. Good luck with the future work." And it felt so cold.
It is a tricky balance. The key is to keep it brief, positive, and include a way for people to stay in touch. You can say, "I've truly enjoyed my time here and learned so much from all of you."
I've truly enjoyed my time here. That is warm and genuine.
Yes. And then you add, "I wish you all the best in the future." And finally, please feel free to stay in touch on LinkedIn.
Please feel free to stay in touch on LinkedIn. That is perfect. It is professional. It leaves the door open, and it does not require me to give out my personal phone number to people I barely know.
Exactly. Now, since we are on the topic of resigning and the pressure of the exit interview, I want to try something with you. A little role play.
Oh no. I knew this was coming. My imaginary resignation letter is already making me sweat.
It will be fun. I promise. And it is great practice. I am going to be Linda, the serious HR manager. You are going to sit in the exit interview, and I am going to ask you for constructive feedback. You are going to give me a polite, professional suggestion for improvement, without mentioning any actual construction. Ready?
Okay. I am ready. No building inspectors. Just a normal, professional employee.
Perfect. Shifts posture. Adopts a formal, slightly stiff HR voice. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me, Alex. As part of our offboarding process, we always value constructive feedback. Is there anything we could do to improve the employee experience here?
Clears throat. Speaks calmly and professionally. Well, Linda, I have truly enjoyed my time here. However, one area for improvement might be the communication between different departments. Sometimes, projects get delayed because we are not aligned.
That is very helpful to hear. We are actually working on implementing new project management software to help with that.
That sounds like a great step. I think that will really benefit the team in the long run.
Breaks character? Smiling widely. Oh, Alex, that was absolutely flawless.
Really? It felt a little bit formal, but I was trying to be professional.
It was perfect. You started with a positive statement. "I've truly enjoyed my time." You used the exact right phrasing. One area for improvement might be. You gave a specific, professional example, communication between departments. And you validated her response. That will really benefit the team. You sounded like a highly mature, professional employee.
It feels much safer to have a script like that. When I am nervous, I either explain. The communication is bad. People do not talk. It is a mess. Or I just say, everything is perfect. No problems. Which is obviously a lie.
And both of those extremes are problematic. Over. Explaining makes you sound bitter. And saying everything is perfect makes you sound disengaged. The positive, specific suggestion, validation formula keeps you perfectly in the middle.
I'm definitely writing that formula down. But Sophia, I have to be honest. All of this resignation anxiety, it is deeply tied to a feeling of guilt.
I hear you. Say more about that.
Well, when you decide to leave a job, especially a good one, you feel like you are abandoning your team. You think? They relied on me, and now I am leaving them with more work. It feels selfish.
That is such a profound and valid feeling. We are naturally empathetic people. We do not want to cause inconvenience to others. But Alex, I want to reframe this for you.
Please do. I need it.
Leaving a job is not a betrayal. It is a normal, healthy part of career growth. You're not abandoning your team. You are making a decision that is best for your own professional and personal development. And a good manager, like David, will understand that.
That is a really nice way to look at it. I usually just focus on the immediate inconvenience of my departure.
But think about it from the company's perspective. They hired you to do a job, and you did it well. Now, you are moving on, and they will hire someone else to do it. It is a business transaction, not a lifelong marriage.
Not a lifelong marriage. That is a very funny but accurate way to put it.
Laughs. It really is. And honestly, the fact that you're so worried about the handover and giving good feedback shows what a dedicated, responsible employee you are. A truly selfish person would not care at all.
I suppose so. I just need to remember that my worth is not determined by how long I stay at one company.
Exactly. Your worth is determined by the quality of your work, your professionalism, and the fact that you are brave enough to pursue new opportunities. And that is incredibly admirable. Now, since we are on the topic of leaving a job and advocating for yourself, I want to try something with you. A quick rapid fire scenario game. Resignation edition.
Oh no. I knew this was coming. My imaginary box of personal belongings is already packed.
It will be fun. I promise. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you are going to give me your immediate, natural, professional response. No overthinking.
Okay. My 2 weeks' notice is ready, and I have left my construction complaints at home. Hit me.
Scenario 1. Your boss says, "We'd really like to keep you. Is there anything we can do to change your mind?"
I would say, I really appreciate that, and I've loved working here. But my decision is final. I'm excited about this new opportunity.
Perfect. Polite. Firm. And uses the natural phrase, "My decision is final?" Scenario 2. A coworker asks you, "Where are you going? What is the new salary?"
I would smile and say, I am going to a new company in the same industry. but I prefer to keep the specific details private for now.
Excellent. Prefer to keep the specific details private is a very professional way to set a boundary without being rude. Scenario 3. You are writing your handover document, and you realize you do not have time to finish it before your last day.
I would say to my manager, I am prioritizing the most critical tasks for the handover document, but I might not be able to finish everything. Can we discuss what is most important to cover before I leave?
Yes, flawless. You are being proactive, honest about your time, and asking for prioritization. That is exactly what a good manager wants to hear. Scenario 4. It is your last day, and you are sending your farewell email to the whole company.
I would write, "It has been a pleasure working with all of you. I have learned so much and wish you all the best. Please feel free to stay in touch on LinkedIn."
Gasps, Alex. That is a perfect, emotionally intelligent, and highly professional farewell. You expressed gratitude. You kept it positive. And you provided a clear, low pressure way to stay connected. That is C1 level corporate communication right there.
Really? I just used the phrases you gave me.
And you use them perfectly in context. That is how language acquisition works. You hear it. You understand it. And then you make it your own. You should be very proud of that.
I am definitely writing "wish you all the best" on my imaginary farewell email.
Please do. And you know, Alex, this entire conversation really highlights something important about the language learning journey. We focus so much on the big milestones, but the real magic happens in these tiny, awkward, everyday moments.
The tiny moments.
Yes. The moment you give your 2 weeks notice. The moment you realize constructive feedback does not mean building work. The moment you confidently say, "My decision is final." Those are the moments where you are actually living the language. You're not just studying it, you're using it to navigate your career and advocate for your own growth.
That is a really beautiful way to look at it. I usually just think of those moments as embarrassing failures, but they are actually proof that I am participating in the professional world.
Exactly. Every awkward question is a victory. Every misunderstood phrase is a lesson learned. You are building your confidence one resignation at a time.
One resignation at a time. I like that. I am going to use that.
You should. Now, to wrap up our resignation survival guide, I have to ask, did you ever give Linda any actual feedback about the building construction?
Laughs. You know what, Sophia? No, I did not. But I did finish my 2 weeks. I wrote a great handover document, and I left on very good terms with David and the team.
That is a huge victory. You faced the awkwardness. You navigated the vocabulary. And you succeeded.
I did. And if I ever resign from a job again, I know exactly what to say. I am giving my 2 weeks notice. I have prepared a handover document, and I wish you all the best.
Laughs, that is the smartest thing you could possibly say. Thank you, Alex. This conversation was exactly what I needed. I feel so much more confident about the idea of changing jobs and not feeling like an alien in the HR office.
I am so glad to hear that, Sophia. And to all our listeners out there, if you feel anxious about resigning or navigating an exit interview in English, remember this. It is okay to keep your feedback professional. It is okay to say your decision is final. And you never, ever need to complain about the actual construction work.
And if HR asks for constructive feedback, just remember, they want your professional opinions, not your building inspection report.
Exactly. We will see you all next time. Keep your handover documents clear, your farewells warm. And bye, Sophia.
Bye, Alex.